Hey, welcome back. I was just thinking about the first time I visited Atlanta. It was for a tech conference, and I remember the overwhelming green of the city, the feeling of a metropolis built within a forest. And I remember the noise. Not just the traffic, but the sound of construction. Cranes, drills, the thud of progress. That's the sound I think about now when I hear the words Cop City. Because that project, officially the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center, represents a different kind of blueprint being drawn up, one that extends far beyond a single city's limits. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is the Unraveling Thread. Today, we're pulling on a thread that starts in the Weelaunee Forest in Atlanta and leads us to a fundamental and frankly unsettling shift in how we conceive of public safety in America. This is episode 25, Cop City and Beyond, the blueprint for privatized police training. So, let's start with the basics. What is Cop City? On paper, it's an ambitious plan to build a $90 million, 85-acre police and fire training facility on city-owned land. Proponents say Atlanta's first responders desperately need a modern, consolidated place to train. They talk about mock villages for urban simulations, burned buildings for firefighters, driving tracks. But the opposition, which has been fierce and sustained, sees something else entirely. They see the destruction of one of Atlanta's largest remaining green spaces, a vital environmental buffer for a predominantly black, working-class neighborhood. They see a massive investment in police militarization in a city with a deep and painful history of policing. And perhaps most critically, they see a funding model that is a radical departure from the norm. Because a huge portion of this money, we're talking about 2/3 of the cost, is coming not from the city's budget, but from private corporations. The Atlanta Police Foundation, a nonprofit whose board is packed with executives from Coca-Cola, Delta, Home Depot, and Cox Enterprises, is the driving force. And that right there is the first unraveling thread. When we traditionally think of police, we think of a public institution funded by public dollars and theoretically accountable to the public through elected officials. But what happens when the primary funders and architects are private entities with their own interests? The Atlanta Police Foundation's mission statement is clear. It exists to supplement city resources. But supplementing can quickly become supplanting. When private capital builds the very infrastructure of a public institution, that institution's priorities inevitably begin to align with its patrons. Is the training designed for the safety of the community or for the security of corporate assets? It creates a direct pipeline from the boardroom to the beat. This brings me to the second point, the normalization of the warrior cop. Training facilities like the one proposed aren't just about learning traffic codes or de-escalation. The designs and promotional materials heavily emphasize tactical, military-style simulations, mock cities for urban warfare drills. This isn't unique to Atlanta. It's a trend that accelerated after September 11th and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, with surplus military equipment flowing to police departments. But by building permanent, state-of-the-art temples to this kind of training, funded by private money, we institutionalize a specific mindset. We tell officers, from day one, that the city is a battlefield to be controlled. It frames the public not as citizens to protect and serve, but as potential combatants in a hostile landscape. And when you combine that mentality with the historical and ongoing realities of over-policing in communities of color, the blueprint starts to look dangerously dystopian. Now, Atlanta is the flashpoint, but it is not an anomaly. It's a prototype. The model of private-public partnership funding massive police infrastructure is being eyed by other cities. It offers a seductive solution to cash-strapped municipalities. You get a shiny new facility without having to fight for the tax dollars or bond measures. But there's a profound democratic deficit in that trade. Tax dollars, for all their flaws, come with a chain of accountability. We can vote out the mayor or city council member who misallocates them. But how do you hold a private foundation accountable? How do you, as a citizen, demand transparency from a nonprofit board that is not subject to open records laws in the same way? The police become less a public service and more a privately sponsored franchise. This is where my own perspective comes in. As an engineer and an entrepreneur, I understand the efficiency argument. I get the appeal of public-private partnerships to get big things built. In my world, we call that a force multiplier. But when you apply that logic to the core function of the state, the monopoly on legitimate force, the equation changes completely. You can't optimize justice. You can't streamline constitutional rights. The metrics of success become murky. Is success a lower crime rate? Or is it a higher rate of arrests? Is it community safety? Or is it the secure flow of commerce? A private funder might value the latter in each of those pairs, and that preference gets baked into the walls of the training center itself. The fight over Cop City isn't just about a forest, though that is a vital and worthy fight. It's a fight over a story. It's a fight over which narrative wins. The story that says public safety is a technical problem solved by bigger, better, privately funded hardware and warrior training, or the story that says public safety is a social condition built on trust, on community investment, on affordable housing, on healthcare, on education. The private funding model inherently chooses the first story. It reduces the complex, human, sociological challenge of safety to an engineering problem of control. So where does that leave us? The takeaway from the Cop City blueprint is that the landscape of policing is being physically and philosophically redesigned, often away from public view and democratic input. It represents a quiet fusion of corporate power and state authority that should give every citizen pause, regardless of their stance on policing. It asks us to consider, who is the public in public safety when the check is signed by a corporation? My call to you is to follow the money in your own city. Look up your local police foundation. See who sits on the board. Attend a city council meeting where a public-private partnership for a new police facility is being discussed. Ask the hard questions about accountability and priorities. The unraveling thread starts with curiosity. Thank you for spending your time with me today. If this conversation resonated with you, please share this episode with one person who thinks deeply about the world we're building. For more from me, Ibnul J. Farabi, and the entire team, visit our home at Light Not Studios. https://www.lightnotstudios.com. We'll continue to pull on these threads together. Until next time, take care.